Huh? Good, okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. It's lovely to have so many people here in the room, and I know we have a very full room online as well. So thanks so much for coming to our campus engagement session. My name is Jordan Wright. I'm the lead for Canada Games Planning at Memorial University, and this is our first session. It's so lovely to see so many friends and faculty, staff, and students here today. Want to acknowledge we have Sammy the Seahawk here in the room. Online audience don't see him, but thanks so much, Sammy, for coming along. And again, thank you so much. Look forward to this conversation. So before we get started, we would like to just take a moment to share our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that the lands on which Memorial University's campuses are situated are in the traditional territories of diverse Indigenous groups. And we acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of this province. So welcome, I've already said hello. To give you a quick sense of today's format, there will be a few speakers to share with you. I'll be here to share. We have representatives from our Canada Games Host Society, and we also have a few Canada Games alumni who are current students that are here to share with us. So that's really exciting. And really the goals for today are, as much as we're almost a year and a half out from the Canada Games in 2025, this is about generating awareness. It's about getting Canada Games on the radar here in our campus community. And it's to talk about some exciting opportunities that are coming up. And as much as our planning team has been in place now for a few months, there's always an opportunity to learn more. And so as much as we're going to be sharing here with you today, we're also hoping to hear from you, to learn, ask questions, have discussion. So there will be an opportunity at the end of our session just for that. I've already talked a little bit about the agenda. Our host society will give a quick overview of the 2025 Canada Games. We'll hear from two of our alum from Canada Games perspective and current students, Cameron Stanford and Claire Windsor, about their experience with Canada Games. We'll talk about some of the planning that's been underway at Memorial for the last few months. We'll talk about some exciting opportunities and how you, as a campus community, can get involved and engaged. And then there's an opportunity for some questions and discussion specific to our Canada Games planning. So with that in mind, I'm going to welcome Karen Sheriffs with our Canada Games Host Society to the front to share a little bit about Canada Games and some of their planning. So Karen, over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having us here today. We're thrilled to be here with Memorial University, a huge partner in the Canada Games. We cannot do this Games without you, and I'm happy to really share all that's happening with the Games and our partnership with Memorial University. So we're just going to show you a little slide here, and hopefully I can navigate this, just to build some excitement. Oh. Okay, this is what Allison told me not to do. Okay, there we go. So that's just a little video. That's one of our first videos that we've had. We launched it last year when we had the flag handover from the 2023 Canada Games to us as the 2025 Canada Games. So the 25 games will happen August 8th to the 25th. And it's really about, sport is really the catalyst that brings the Canada Games to our province, to our city, to our region. But it's really about community and certainly about the legacy that comes now at the beginning of the games, during the games, and after the games. We are 513 days away, which is scary. The time is ticking fast, but we are certainly really well underway with our planning and growing a great team of staff and volunteers who are helping to be part of that. Just a little bit about the games. So the Canada Games is the largest multi-sport event that takes place in Canada. We are currently trending to be the largest Canada Games to have ever happened in the history of the Canada Games. Once all the numbers come in August of 25, we'll be able to confirm that. But really adding to that is great to be able to be established in that such a huge event. It will be the largest event ever hosted in our province. It alternates between winter and summer games. The really nice thing about the Canada Games, it includes able-bodied athletes as well as athletes who participate in parasport as well as Special Olympics. Athletes will represent over 700 different communities from across our country. And this is the third time that the Canada Games will be hosted in our province. 1977, the last time in St. John's, and in 1999, a Winter Games in Corner Brook. The numbers are pretty significant. We are going to welcome almost 4,600 to 4,800 athletes, coaches, and managers. Provincial territorial mission teams will be coming to help assist each of their provinces and territories and their athletes to ensure we're well prepared to host each of them. We will require 5,000 games time volunteers, 31,000 shifts for the volunteers. We will have 500 major technical officials brought in from across the country to help officiate the 19 sports we have. And this is also including the large number of spectators that will be coming, all the cultural performers that will participate in our festival program, as well as our opening and closing ceremonies. The big thing about the games, and I alluded to the legacy piece, the legacy piece is really significant. So while the games is 18 days, the legacy piece carries on. We've seen legacy pieces from 1977 games, and Corner Brook has witnessed from a 1999. We're currently leveraging around upwards of $80 million in new and upgraded facilities. The economic impact just for the 18 days of the games is trending now around the $120 million mark. And we're currently working through a significant legacy plan with a financial legacy fund that will focus on sport, economic, environmental, and community. So really significant plan is being built to how we continue to give back well after the games is done. The Canada Games Host Society, we're governed by a board of directors. We're an incorporated entity. We currently have 14 active committees. Actually, this has now changed. We are now a staff of 39. We'll be a staff of close to 50 to 60 people over the next 2 to 3 months. So every day our team is growing. And our key funding partners are the Government of Canada, the Government of Newfoundland, Labrador, and the City of St. John's. This gives a little bit of a map of our venues. 2025 will be my 10th Canada Games, and this is definitely the smallest footprint of a games that I have ever witnessed. You can see the Games Village, which is Memorial University, the hub of sports and activities that are going to take place just in that concentrated area. Our furthest venue will be in CBS, which will be the sailing and soccer. We've been fortunate enough to also partner with the Town of Paradise, hosting beach volleyball and box lacrosse for male and female, as well as Mount Pearl, which will be hosting wrestling and baseball. And Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove will have a beautiful but grueling road race for our cyclists. So we have 19 different sports. This is identifying all of the venues that we have. We currently have 25 capital projects happening. So all of these venues up here are their new venues or will see significant upgrades to meet the standards for us required to host a sporting event. We have 19 sports, and we're really fortunate that we're the first games to have female baseball added to the program. So 2025 will be the first time female baseball will be added. And we'll see some new sports to our community. Canoe kayak is a newer sport. It's clubs starting to be developed, and even lacrosse being kind of regenerated back. So really excited, I think, get out and witness all these great sports happening. A little glimpse into our plans. So while the sport is really, we have 19 national sport organizations helping us plan for that, there's also a number of other things that occur. Key things like our festival and cultural programs that will happen over the course of the games, opening, closing ceremonies, the starting and the book end of the games, the celebration to open it and the celebration to close the games. We will have a Canada Games House. This is the second time for a Canada Games, so that will actually be located here at Memorial University. Significant Indigenous partnership with all Indigenous groups from across our provinces occurring, with amazing initiatives that we're building with each of these groups here in our province and Labrador. Official languages, our games is fueled by both our English and French. So everything you see certainly on our social media, public facing, join the games will be in French and English. We will have a digital hub for the first time for games. Our torch relay will begin a few months out of the games that we will receive the torch in Ottawa and bring it to our province and do a relay across the province. The mascot, last week we unveiled our mascot, Gusty the Codfish. If you haven't seen that, have a look. And pin trading, we call it the unofficial sport of the games. Look out, wait till you see all these athletes, volunteers, spectators in action, looking for the key pins of the games. It's quite a sight to see, and this in action. And our medal program, we will be designing a unique medal for the 2025 Canada Games as well. So Memorial University, as I alluded to, is a significant partner in this Canada Games for 2025. We are really fortunate to work. I look around the room and our team is working with a number of you already to support the Canada Games, and we've been really fortunate. This partnership dates back to our bid phase in 2020 that we did through COVID, and I don't know, I think I was one of the few people on campus in 2020 assessing accommodations during that time, but really cannot say enough thanks to your full team. The number of organizations, groups, faculty, departments that we're working with has been truly significant, and really appreciative of that. So just a few things about what's happening at MUN. So the Games Village will be right here at Memorial University. Universities play a key role in all Canada Games, but the village is really that athlete's home away from home, and we want to make it a fantastic experience. So we will have accommodations here, food services. I think we're feeding 700 an hour is our standard. So lots of food going through the dining hall for the course of that time. Entertainment spaces, lounges, our polyclinic, which is the mini hospital of the games. That's a 24/7 operation for the games, as well as significant medical on-site at each venue. Our media and broadcast center will be here, and we will be hosting 7 sports right on this campus, which is an amazing experience for the athletes to be able to get and witness a number of sports here without having to get a bus or transportation anywhere. The collaboration as well, just to highlight, like I said, the number of faculties and departments within Memorial University that we're working with, everything from Office of Indigenous Affairs, official languages, modern language. We're doing a great deal with the Office of Sustainability and Climate Action. The education programs, we currently have 2 co-op students with us from Memorial University, and we want to continue that trend as well. Volunteer services, correspondence building, working very closely with IT with Memorial as well, Polyclinic, the various venues being hosted here. So you can see a really large area, security, health, safety, parking, all really key components of the games. We have 40 different functional areas, and MUN is touching on a number of those areas. And just a key thing to kind of conclude with here is we do require, as I said, 5,000 games times volunteers. We will have around 450 to 600 planning volunteers. That I think we're currently at the 300-ish mark with our planning volunteers. We will have 31,000 shifts just for games times to fill for various roles. We will officially launch our volunteer program and recruitment about 1 year out, so this August, so stay tuned for that. And looking for, as we said right now, some really key leadership volunteers who are helping with the planning. So we also require 500, 10% of our volunteers to be able to bilingual speak English and French. So thank you very much for the opportunity. We're always available. We have our website, we have social media, follow us along. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to talk to anybody from Memorial and our community. And I have the great privilege right now to introduce two athletes from Memorial University, but two athletes who also participated in the 2022 Canada Games, Cameron Stanford and Claire Winsert. Cam participated in the basketball for Team Newfoundland Labrador, and Claire was on the female soccer team. They're both Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science students, and just great representation. I had the privilege to watch both of them compete at the Canada Games, so really a great honor to be able to introduce them here today. So thank you again for the opportunity. Again, any questions, and thank you to Memorial University for being an amazing partner.
Good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you all here today as we gather to share the excitement of the upcoming 2025 Canada Games. My name is Cameron Stanford, and it's a pleasure to speak to you about my personal experience at the 2022 Canada Games in Niagara. For those of you who may not know me, I was born and raised in St. John's, and I'm embarking on my second year at Memorial University. I'm actively pursuing a degree in civil engineering while engaged in my second work term with Lindsay Construction, assisting in building the 2025 Canada Games athletics building, track, and turf. At the same time, I'm playing on the varsity men's Memorial Seahawks basketball team. Let me tell you a bit about my journey through the Canada Games. The memories I have from this experience are some of the most cherished of my life. Walking through the arena during the opening ceremonies, feeling the adrenaline rushing through my veins, surrounded by bright lights and the roar of the crowd. It's a moment I truly wish every athlete could experience. I had the immense privilege of representing Newfoundland's basketball program alongside a dedicated group of teammates who I'm proud to call my brothers. We trained relentlessly as a team for 2 years leading up to the games, knowing that we were the underdogs. But through our hard work and resilience, we exceeded expectations, securing one of the highest placements in the history of the Canada Games for a men's basketball team from Newfoundland. Though we fell short in the quarterfinals, the support from our province was unwavering, and we couldn't have been happier with what we accomplished. Reflecting back, I realized that my Canada Games experience taught me valuable life lessons. It showed me the importance of embracing the moment and treasuring bonds formed with teammates, coaches, and supporters that will last a lifetime, along with the perseverance and strength needed to overcome obstacles on and off the court. These lessons have stayed with me long after the games ended, inspiring me to pursue youth basketball coaching and give back to the sport that has given me so much. As we look ahead to hosting the 2025 Canada Games here in Newfoundland, I'm filled with eagerness and optimism. Our community has the potential to create an unforgettable event, one that parents, athletes, and supporters will remember for years to come. With our dedication, support, and determination, I have no doubt that we can make the 2025 Canada Games the best yet. Thank you, and let's make it happen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claire, and I'm currently a student here in the engineering faculty at Memorial, and I play on the women's soccer team, and I participated in the 2022 Niagara Games. The games for me were a really big part of my athletic career, and I just want to walk you guys through what they meant to me, not only as the event, but as the whole program that the games facilitate for athletes. So it starts out years in advance with the training pool. You get the opportunity to train with a whole bunch of potential athletes and like work your way towards the team. And when the list came out, I wasn't on it. And that didn't stop my journey. That was only the start. I was really, really motivated by not making that first cut, and it only made me work harder. It taught me a lot about learning to identify and strengthen my weaknesses and how to set goals and be determined to achieve them. After that list came out, I had a really good season and I was happy with my development. And I was asked to start training with the team. As you can imagine, I was in a lot of shock. I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't think they would change the training pool they had set. But after that initial excitement, I started to really think about what that would mean for me as an athlete for the next 2 years. I would have to cut back on other activities that I loved, and I would have a way busier high school experience than I expected. Making that choice to join the squad was really difficult for me because it would make me manage my time and prioritize what's important to me. But those are all things that I do now as a student athlete, and it helped me develop to where I am today. So once I decided to join the team, which is the best choice I've ever made, we moved into our full training experience. And honestly, I think that's what changed me the most as a person and an athlete. Getting to spend time with my teammates and build bonds really helped me grow as a person. It let me learn to push my limits, and I gained so much confidence working within groups, while also learning to effectively communicate and support others. I also learned how rewarding it was to get to work towards a big long-term goal, because that's something I never really had the chance to do. That's something I try to do now, keep myself focused on long-term goal like the Canada Games. And with all of that work, the actual Canada Games at the end was such an amazing reward. That's what made it so easy to work so hard for all of those years. Getting to go to Niagara and play high-level soccer was so exciting because I got to represent my province at a national level, and I had the chance to meet so many other youth athletes who are just phenomenal at what they do. And it was really inspiring to see how we all worked so hard to get where we were. When I look back on the games, that week in Niagara was amazing, but the actual program that Canada Games fosters around the country for athletes to learn what it means to develop in a high-level environment is really what makes the game special to me. It changed me so much as a person, and I'm so excited that Newfoundland will have the chance to host the Canada Games in 2025 and give athletes the opportunity to work towards something that will move them to hopefully pursue varsity sports or high-level athletics or larger goals throughout their life. Thank you.
So wonderful to hear from Canada Games alum, members of our varsity teams, and I love that connection with the construction project over there that Cameron shared, because that's really applying himself in a different way. But thank you both so much for being here. How about another round of applause for our athletes? So this is the part of the presentation where my office mate, Allison, told me that I have to try and keep my energy up because now we've had all this wonderful stuff and Jordan gets to talk about the dull things. So, you know, this is an opportunity. I'm going to try and keep my energy up, but it's an opportunity to really share about what's happening at Memorial, what we can anticipate in a year and a half, and kind of where we are in the planning process. And one of the things that we started to do very early on as we sort of initiated with this project and initiative was to start asking others, you know, how did it look in your campus? What did it look like in your neighborhood? So we did reach out to University of Prince Edward Island and Brock University to learn some lessons. And what we're doing here today is actually one of them, about engaging your campus and having a conversation. So we're really happy to be having this opportunity here today to share about our planning and to hear from you also about thoughts, ideas, and think about opportunities. So one of the first things we did here at Memorial was to establish sort of a project environment and a project setup. So right here in the middle is sort of our small project office where we're responsible for Canada Games planning at Memorial University. Soon thereafter, we established a steering committee, many members of whom are in the room, and we appreciate that support here today and always. And we also set up a number of working groups, and we get teased sometimes about how many committees and groups we have working on different initiatives at the university. But for this one right now, we have a few working groups sort of doing some dedicated planning around our Games Village, around financial oversight, our academic and business continuity, and most recently looking at strategic opportunities and collaboration. How do we really capitalize and leverage this opportunity that's coming to the province, that's coming to our city, that's coming to our campus, and really viewing this as a generational opportunity. It's the first time since 1977 that the Canada Games was hosted in St. John's. So from a continuity planning perspective, really we're focusing on what are service areas on campus that could potentially be impacted by the games. We've talked a bit about the numbers. We've talked a bit about the sport competitions that are going to be happening. We're starting to think about day-to-day operations and how that may or may not impact us. So we're trying to identify what areas there may be some impact, what service levels do we want during that time of year, and how can we offer them in the same or different ways. And so we are getting groups of people together, and it's good to share with friends and colleagues to think about processes and to think about services that may require some rethinking during this time. So the planning right now, we're utilizing our enterprise risk management framework and our business continuity planning templates that Memorial University community members can expect that we're going to have a template coming out in the coming months that will ask you to think about your core services, what are your critical functions during that time of year, and how might they be adapted, what can continue without interruption, or what might you choose to do differently during that period. So again, for the Memorial community, you can anticipate some engagement coming up with respect to continuity and business planning. With respect to the footprint and what's going to be happening on campus, Karen mentioned sort of that lengthy list there of a variety of services, a variety of forums and venues that we're going to have. On the map here, and again, we're still 15, 16 months out, so this is where we are in our planning today. So our planning is iterative, we're always listening, we're always learning, but you can get a quick glimpse of what venues on campus will have some presence of Canada Games during that period in August. So it's important to note that campus will remain operational during the games. So that's sort of a foundational assumption that we can have. And so we think about what does that mean moving forward. So the real intensive process of preparing campus will be August the 5th to the 7th of 2025. We will, however, of course, be preparing along the way. So you will see some work underway on campus this summer. You will see some work underway on campus next summer, getting us ready where we can. And then, of course, the process of restoring campus to welcome our students back for the fall 2025 semester really starts as soon as the games ends. And Karen and I have a great discussion there about how many volunteers we're going to need and what supports we'll need. So looking ahead to the academic calendar, and these are some decisions that are either been made or in very early stages right now, the spring-summer semester of 2025 has actually been adjusted ever so slightly by a couple of dates. So classes will be ending on August 1st of 2025, and exams will be ending August 5th of 2025. This is for most programs. We recognize that a number of programs have their distinctions and uniqueness, but generally speaking, exams will be finishing on August 5th, and then Canada Games will be sort of rolling in with more numbers to get the venues ready. And then as we look ahead to the fall semester, and this decision has sort of been made, but the details are still being worked out right now, we are going to resume the fall semester in the second week of September 2025. So the exact start date of classes is not determined yet. That's working through its normal process with the registrar's office, et cetera. But we are going to have one extra week to sort of turn around campus. It is the earliest Labor Day that you can have in a calendar year. So this is not without precedent of what Memorial has done in those instances. And so we will be starting classes the second week of September 2025. So that's, again, good information to have everyone in their minds as they're thinking about what are my normal processes that I go through in August getting ready for the semester, and how might that look differently for 2025. From a workforce planning perspective, and this is where we're going to be working with managers, supervisors, unit heads, and department heads, thinking about the numbers on campus. So no doubt there will be some increased density. Again, Karen mentioned the number of athletes, coaches, trainers, et cetera. We're also going to be having a number of spectators, of course, on campus and supporters. So we can anticipate that there will be a number of people on campus during that very intensive 2-week period. So thinking about there will be more people on campus and what does that mean is a good thing to keep in mind as you're doing your planning. In terms of building access, we mentioned that campus will remain operational. Doors aren't being locked or anything like that. So business will continue as usual. But we need to be thinking ahead about what adaptations do we need, what do we need to know right now that we want to ensure can still happen, what deliveries might want to happen earlier on, just if we're going to have a number of vehicles around campus. So starting to plan early and think about these things is very important. There will be a few spaces on campus, such as our Games Village, such as our Polyclinic, et cetera, that may be what we call credentialed. And Karen can share way more about that than I can. But generally speaking, there will be some access restrictions to certain spaces on campus for Canada Games personnel or athletes and so on. But generally speaking, Memorial University community members can come and go in general buildings where you're working or studying, et cetera, as you normally would. So again, this is about early information, early awareness. We're working hard with our Department of Human Resources right now. We've also been engaging with our various unions to start thinking about what resource levels will we have on campus during August. Obviously, August is a very popular time to be taking vacation. We don't get great weather, so we try and take advantage of it when we can. But starting to think ahead of leave planning, vacation planning for 2025, that's certainly a way that we can influence our density on campus. If we have a number of individuals on vacation, that certainly helps from one density perspective, but there may be groups and services that need to be on campus to support what we're doing for those 2 weeks. Similarly, looking at remote work arrangements, Department of Human Resources has a survey out right now talking about sort of the future planning, and we'll get some updates on that soon. But again, it's another way that we can help with our density planning as we think about what remote work arrangements might be in place for 2025 that are sort of in existence right now, or maybe we look at something different for that period of time to help us from a density perspective. Similarly, from a labor relations, we've had good conversations to date with a number of our unions and locals to have conversations about how are we going to support the games. Karen's coming with the volunteers for sure, and their team keeps growing. But we also recognize that not all those volunteers will be here on campus. It's important to remember that the venues that Karen talked about span sort of the Northeast Avalon. And so here on campus, we will have a number of volunteers, but we'll also be making use of Memorial University forces. So we're having good active conversations right now with our unions about what services will Memorial University provide and what services will Canada Games provide through their resource pool. Volunteering is another great opportunity. Karen has started that initiative and Canada Games is looking for a number of individuals. We also recognize that there's a number of resources here at the university that may want to become involved with Canada Games. And certainly we have our own expertise professionally, but also personally. So balancing those volunteer requests with our core duties here at the university is something also that our Department of Human Resources is looking at, and we'll be providing some guidance on that for unit leaders. In terms of onboarding, and this is coming from conversations with our unions as well, thinking about, okay, when I start in September, how long does it take to get someone set up in Brightspace or payroll or just to go through a hiring process? So recognizing that there's going to be different activities happening and groups pulled into planning and support, maybe we want to look at a little bit different cycle for 2025. Maybe we start some of those things a little bit earlier, knowing that the semester starts the second week of September. Maybe you do it after the games, but really just to start thinking about your processes, start thinking about what your readiness for the fall looks like and how you will continue that in a sort of day-to-day way or in a slightly adjusted way is really important. And of course, our parking groups here in the room, one of our favorite topics is to look at parking and what does that mean for a number of people coming to campus. So we really blew this one up just to get everybody excited to talk about parking on campus. So this is draft. I can't stress that enough in the top left corner there. And this is version 5. So we continue to iterate. Agile project management is all about iteration and incremental. So that's what we're doing here. So as we look at our parking map, the areas in green are what we are expecting right now to be spectator parking, okay? Some of you are probably looking at that and saying, that's my parking lot. Yes, that is currently thought to be spectator parking. So to help with that, we are trying to keep sort of the main corridor of Elizabeth Avenue available in 15B, and I might be messing up the numbers here as I usually do, but 15B and 1A for sort of to reserve and hold for Memorial University. You'll also see over here towards our accommodations that we have a bus and motor pool. So all of those venues that are off campus, we have a lot of buses and vehicles coming to campus to take athletes to these other venues. So we're having to make some adjustments in those areas. And we also know well that some of the same people who park in that area are the same people we need on campus to help us during the games. So we're trying to accommodate as best we can on Elizabeth Avenue. You'll also note some other areas on campus that we're talking about adjustments to lots. This is again where we start thinking about our density planning. Our parking group is doing lot counts to see what our normal summer traffic looks like. And you'll also see just around the residence area here, we're really trying to minimize vehicular traffic wherever we can. So you'll see some temporary road closures, some temporary two-way adjustments that we're thinking about right now. Again, I can't stress enough how much the CRO's team has been helping us with this. We literally made another version of this yesterday morning to have ready for today. And I'm looking at the person in the eyes who did that for us. Thank you, Robin. So again, we're constantly having this conversation. We had a really good discussion last week. Our CUPE group was in the back of the room that helped provide some insights as well. So this is an ongoing conversation. We want everyone to start thinking about these things. And if and as you have further ideas, input, etc., this is the start really of a good conversation. So again, there's opportunity for input as we move along, but this is our current thinking around parking and transportation on campus. And of course, there is excitement. Karen's shared excitement. Our athletes have shared excitement. Some of the other exciting things that are part of hosting the Canada Games or being part of hosting the Canada Games on your campus are academic legacy. Again, this is another great lesson learned from Brock University, that there's ways that we can incorporate the games into teaching and learning, research, and public engagement. We're fortunate to have Dr. Anne-Marie Sullivan, who's in the room here, who's our academic legacy coordinator, looking at ways that we can incorporate Canada Games into course offerings, looking at ways that we can have work integrated learning opportunities. We talked about some co-op placements already. Looking at the impact of games across disciplines, looking at research projects. We're looking at one right now from a sustainability perspective as an example, and seeing ways that the Canada Games can link with the public engagement opportunities made possible as well. So this is a great opportunity for the university community, and we're going to be sharing more about this coming up, and I'll not get ahead of myself to talk about our website in a moment. Showcasing Memorial. This is again why we have that other working group talking about opportunities and strategic partnerships. This is a great opportunity with this many people in our neighborhood to showcase Team Memorial, to showcase our campuses, to talk about the breadth and depth of academic programs and research initiatives happening on campus, and to highlight our athletics, our student clubs, and societies. And it's really a great opportunity for a coordinated multi-campus approach to student recruitment. Again, there's going to be a number of athletes and their families here for a very short period of time, but we can have an impactful opportunity. So one of the conversations we're having as an example is campus tours. What does that normally look like during the summer? What do we want it to be in August of 2025? So this is a great opportunity for that coordination. That's why we're trying to get out there very early with our team as Team Memorial to see what opportunities are there to really highlight, promote, and enhance Memorial to the country. Volunteer opportunities, again, can't stress enough, as Karen already has, that they will be looking for some volunteers. We may also have some Team Memorial volunteer opportunities. So again, we're working with Department of Human Resources to identify some of those. We're working with our own team to see what areas might need a little bit more support during August of 2025. And so we'll be having that conversation with union leaders again, if there are areas where we might need a little bit more support and members of the university community, excuse me, would like to get involved. This, I think, is the last slide. Also part of today's objectives is to keep that conversation going, to share information and to be listening. So we are sort of officially launching our own Memorial website here today. So you can see it there, mun.ca/2025 Canada Games. This is a presence for Memorial University to talk about the things we've already talked about. So the recording of this session will live there. Some of the maps that we showed will live there. Contact information for how to get in touch with our planning team will be there. You can see the email address. And really, if and as we have updates, they'll start getting pushed out to our Canada Games website at Memorial. There's, of course, links there to official sources of information. We don't want to be the keeper of the sports schedule. We don't want to be the keeper of the venues, all the rest of it. So we do a lot of pushing to the 2025 Canada Games website and to the Canada Games Council website. You'll also, of course, see some links there to our varsity and athletics programming, recruitment opportunities, etc. So this is really going to be our online hub for Canada Games planning at Memorial. So something you can bookmark if people do that anymore. You can check back frequently to see what updates are there and just to stay updated on planning at Memorial and how to get engaged with the games. So really, that's the information that we had to share today from myself, from the Canada Games Host Society, and from a few of our athletes. We do have an opportunity here now, just looking at the clock, we do have an opportunity here now to engage in some questions and discussions relating to Canada Games. Certainly that's what we're here to talk about. Either myself, Karen, or our two student athletes can also share. So I've got Brenda and Sandy who are going to help us in the room. If you'd like to share, we do ask that you use a microphone because we have over 130 people online, I think, right now. So we want to make sure everyone can be heard. And Allison's also going to be moderating the online chat if and as needed. So I'll just look to the room very quickly to see if anyone has an immediate question. If not, maybe I'll ask Allison, anything online at the moment?
Hi, folks. I'm Allison Heisted. I'm over in the corner. I'm a planning coordinator in the office with Jordan. We do have one question online, so I'll start there. So the question coming in, and this might actually even be towards Karen, is coming from Rebecca Newhook. So she says, thanks for mentioning co-op students. Along with my colleagues, I work with co-op students in HSS, so humanities and social sciences, and science, many of whom would be interested in working with the planning and delivery of the Canada Games. Who can I get in contact about co-op opportunities?
Well, thank you for that question. We now have a website, an email that's volunteers@2025canadagames.ca. So for any opportunities for students who are interested in being involved, they can certainly ask any questions through that, or certainly through your office between yourself and Jordan to connect us with anybody on our staff host society team.
And I will also just say that we had a very good conversation with our student unions, and Mansu's also made the connection for us with the Student Volunteer Bureau. So it is something also that we're planning on having a good engagement with our SVB coming up soon. So again, you can anticipate, for those who know what I'm talking about, the SVB will be getting engaged in Canada Games planning as well pretty soon.
Just a quick follow-up. So with regards to actual, like, maybe a work term opportunity, so the volunteering, but also if there's, how would they get in contact to inquire about a work term experience?
Oh, you gotta come up. Just hang it, I need the online.
Thanks. With regards to a work term experience, I would say go through your office and get connected to our HR division within our host society.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Allison, and online folks. Anyone in the room with any questions, comments? Okay, we have one here.
Hi there. I'm just wondering about the scheduling for the able-bodied in athletics and the Special Olympics. So is that all, are all the athletes competing within the 8th to the 25th timeline?
Thank you. Okay, I'll turn this way now. Yes, so the athletes all compete together. The sports with Parasport and Special Olympics are swimming, athletics, and cycling. So they will compete. So there's different disciplines throughout the course of that time. But yes, they all compete together in their own segment sports event. Yep. So yep, that'll all be scheduled, and that you'll be able to see that within our sports schedule. We are on draft 1 of our sports schedule. So we work really closely with all national sport organizations on the development of that schedule. I don't know, we will be at a draft or schedule reiteration of probably in the hundreds by the time we get to games time. So yep. But altogether, it's an amazing thing to watch and witness, and the support from their whole team, the province and contingents on supporting all these athletes is quite significant and really nice to watch.
I think Allison's got another one online.
I do indeed. I have another couple here. So the next question we have is, thank you for your presentation. The plan sounds quite exciting. I am curious about how this event will impact students and their families residing in Burton's Pond Apartments on campus.
Thank you very much for that question. So right now, we're currently working through the planning with Canada Games, and we're working through our agreement right now. Certainly, we've committed to having the Games Village here on campus. And as you could see there earlier, that means most of our accommodations. So we are working with Canada Games right now to confirm numbers and figure out what supports may be needed. So when we have further plans, we'll certainly be able to share those.
Okay, and this one, actually, the mic is going to come back to Karen, I think, but it might be a quick answer there. So the next question is with regards to volunteer. Oh, and I see one at the back there. What is the age requirement to volunteer?
So as I said, we need over 5,000 volunteers. Age requirement, a majority of our volunteers will be in that 18 plus range, but we also have a number of opportunities for youth and children under that age bracket of under 18 to participate as even in, running after soccer balls, Claire at the soccer field, tennis balls, that sort of thing, being a bat boy, girl at the baseball, softball venues, really actually exciting. They get paired up with the team. So really young athletes. We've seen that young children who have been assigned and just had amazing experience being linked with Team Alberta for the whole week in baseball, and just that whole experience of being part of that team. So really younger children right up to seniors. So yeah, a full spectrum.
Thank you. Everyone in the back of the room with Brenda.
I just had a question around the staffing piece. Staff on our campus that would want to volunteer, is Memorial looking at options around if it's done through work hours? Is it a voluntold as well? Or is it all would be on their own time, or how will that piece roll out?
Yeah, good question. So we are having that conversation with Human Resources right now. We've also sort of learned and leaned into UPI and how they handle that as well. So there is an active conversation going on with Human Resources right now. It will very much be unit dependent, but we are hoping to provide some guidance on that coming up soon as well. So thank you for the question. We'll be sure to note that for our communications. Another one back there with Brenda. Yep.
Hi there, Bill Kavanagh with CUPE 1615, and thank you, Jordan and Allison and Karen. Appreciate the invitation to be here, and I do want to acknowledge you really are getting out in front of this and being mindful of labor relations. So that's much appreciated, and I can already hear that we're being listened to, including parking. But I just wanted to follow up on the staffing piece, because it is a little bit complicated, because as many folks well know, some of the work that's being done on campus by staff that are associated with different union locals, CUPE 1615, there's 2 or 3 other CUPE locals, there's NAPE locals, and there's MUNFA. And there will be in areas of like technical services, Center for Innovation, Teaching and Learning, residences and ancillary operations, and others where there will be a higher demand on that work, and that's natural and it makes sense. But as mentioned in other venues, the case could be made that there in certain areas already be staffing issues. So I'm just wondering if there's any further developments on considerations about new hires, maybe on contract, to augment the work and the associated higher demand. And I will acknowledge that there are going to be different venues here, not all right on main campus. And I don't know if a full-on estimate of the increase in the population of the joint Canada Games and St. John's campus will look, but just from rough estimates on my part, we're looking at a possible increase, including the almost 5,000 athletes and coaches, the 1 to 2 people that will accompany them, possibly parents, the spectators. We're looking at an increase in the population of the Campus Canada Games combined of upwards of 40 to 50%. So I do want to re-highlight the concern about staffing levels, and I'm wondering if there's any new developments or that will be part of further conversations. Thanks again.
Thank you for the question. And as you're aware, certainly we met there recently to have the start of this conversation, and we have followed up with HR since our meeting. So that is part of the planning and discussion that's underway right now. I will also say, going back to a slide from a few moments ago, we will have a business continuity planning template that's coming out to units soon to identify if there are pressures, to identify what your critical functions are, and to identify what plans are around those. And we're also asking the question around sort of, I think on the template it's called upstream and downstream dependencies. So we might change that word, but what sort of connections you have and who else you're working with. So we don't have the answer to that right now. It has been flagged for Human Resources. It has been flagged with our business continuity group, and also looking at the resource base with what is Memorial core work that's happening versus games responsibilities. And certainly Karen and her team are responsible for games responsibilities. And the other piece I also just want to clarify for the group, when Karen mentioned about the number of athletes, et cetera, that are coming, that's in total. So each week we will have half of that. So when we think 5,000 athletes, coaches, et cetera, you can think of that in 2 cohorts. So we'll have the, it might not be half and half, but we'll have roughly half of them the first week. Then there's this marvelous turnover day that I can't wait to see, where everybody's in and out on the same, 6-hour shift or whatever. And then group 2 comes. So I just want to share that from a density perspective too. Everybody's not here at the exact same time. We do have that split up in 2, just so everyone's aware. But anyway, thank you, Bill. I appreciate the question. And certainly it's been flagged. And again, this, as you said, this is why we're trying to get out ahead of this, so we can have good conversations and engagement with the university community. So thank you again.
All right, I have another question online. So there's a parking question there. So as parking will be likely an issue, is there a possibility to provide Metrobus passes for that time frame for Memorial employees who live within St. John's, assuming they would be able to use the bus within that time?
Another good question, and this one has been flagged on our planning radar. So Canada Games is certainly working with Metrobus on an overall transportation plan for the games. We have a very good relationship with Metrobus as well as Memorial University, so we have been engaging in some of that conversation. We don't have any answer to it at the moment, but I would again just say thank you for raising that one. It is on the planning agenda and radar, and we're certainly taking into consideration to look at a variety of parking transportation solutions, because we know, there's never enough inventory of parking regardless of the event and regardless of what's happening. So it's certainly something that's on the radar. Thank you. Oh, we have one here, Brenda.
Hi, and thank you for the informative presentation. Checking your website, I've noticed that there are a few hiring positions available for coordinators. My question is, are people on the committee of Canada Games eligible for those positions? And if yes, if they get the offer, can they have both positions, volunteering on the committee and working as a coordinator, or no, they have to choose one of them?
So we'll let Canada Games answer that, but that is a great point, because Allison and I get asked a lot of times, where do I send my resume to you, et cetera. Usually when the hiring is happening, that is the host society. So just be mindful of Memorial and the host society, but certainly there's a question for Karen.
Yes, we are actively, hi, I was looking for where it was coming from. We are actively hiring. I think every week we have new job postings. So we have key planning volunteers that are actively involved helping all of our staff teams and various functional areas. So what's happened if someone transitions to a staff role, they tend to transition fully into that staff role, and we would replace with a key volunteer lead then. So it would be separate, but depending on the area that someone would be hired for. No, because you'll be then focusing solely on the particular functional area that you would be hired for. Yep. Yep.
And Karen, you might want to keep that mic, because I have another question coming in from online.
Karen, you can also come up here.
So this is actually about volunteering again, and just to maybe share again how and when the volunteer opportunities will be communicated.
Yeah, excellent question. Again, we will launch, we're currently on our website, you will see various planning volunteers, lead planning roles that are available now for people to apply for, to be part of our, what we're calling our planning volunteers, but to be part of the 5,000 games time volunteers that are needed. We will launch our recruitment campaign around the 1 year out mark, so around August 8th ish of this summer. It'll be a big campaign. We will also be opening a volunteer center for people to be able to come in. So currently information is on our website, www.2025canadagames.ca, which would have all information currently, our newsletter sign up that's giving all the greatest and latest information of what's happening with the host society. And then you will also start to see a build out of our volunteer page within that, the different volunteer roles that will be available, when and how to apply, and what that will entail. So everybody who volunteers will also get a wonderful kit of clothing for everybody who volunteers. Everyone will look alike throughout that 18 days of the games, and lots of great opportunities to try something new, or your particular skill set would be great for a particular role.
And I will say too that with the volunteer opportunities, something we talked about with Munsu was the idea of sort of some shadowing and professional development. So we're also chatting with our students union right now about opportunities that we might have for students to shadow with leadership roles to gain some of that experience, which is a great, again, opportunity with the Canada Games connection.
Okay, I have one more. It's not so much a question, just a comment with regards to opportunities. So in terms of Showcase Memorial, don't forget our resources and attractions at the Johnson Geo Center and Botanical Garden. These would be great places for tours and another benefit to potential students. not just academics and research.
No, that's wonderful. And certainly, as the whole community thinks about the tourism impact during the games, the number of visitors during the games, I will say that Geo Center Botanical Garden are on our opportunities group. And so they're part of that sort of memorial programming that we're thinking about encouraging and promoting during the games. So thank you for that plug. Anything else in the room? Oh, we got two, Brenda first, then Sandy. Oh, we'll go Sandy first, okay.
Thanks, Jordan. I'm just wondering, is there any, I guess, information or direction for administrators who may have a staff member come forward and say, I'd like to apply to the Canada Games Commission to be a volunteer lead on such and such a committee in terms of conflict of commitment or, you know, time management. So as an administrator, how are we managing that?
Yes, great question. And we actually just had that question or discussion with Michael with HR yesterday. We were like, what do we say? So right now we're going through some formal guidelines that will be coming out with the continuity planning template. In the interim, what we're recommending is have a conversation with your manager, supervisor, administrator, and then follow up with your HR advisor. And so Michael's doing the background work with the HR advisors to talk about how to manage that question. So good question. Good advice for units as well. Okay, back of the room.
Bill Kavanagh again, QP 1615. I think this question is for Karen. I didn't make a mental note. You had mentioned some of the benefits to campus in multi-million-dollar investments, and I didn't take note of what that amount was. But I'm curious if you can clarify where that has come from. Is it from Memorial's budget? Is it from government or Canada Games or a mix? And if you could highlight what those are. I mean, there's some obvious infrastructure changes on campus that everybody's aware of, but I'm wondering if you can list those. And I'm going to sneak in another one for Jordan. Jordan, where do I get a jacket like that?
Luann is in the room and it's at the bookstore. I got this just for Christmas. I thought it was very appropriate for today. So Luann, we've also been having a merchandising conversation around Canada Games. So you can expect to see Canada Games merch in the bookstore coming up soon as well once that gets launched. But anyway, Karen, you can answer the first part and I can fill in if needed.
Sure. Okay, you're going to test my memory now. So I did reference that we have leveraged almost $80 million in capital infrastructure for new and upgraded facilities. So not all of those are at Memorial. I would like to say 80 million is directly going into Memorial, but significant amount of that, well over 50 million is going into Memorial here with the ACK Arena upgrades as well as the Fortis Canada Games complex. We're also working really closely with Raina, I don't know if Mike, a number of great team under facilities management as well on a number of other capital improvements to the campus. So we've just aligned and approved on the list. We're still working on a couple more add-ons, you know, around accommodations, even some accessibility. The additional project now we're looking at for the field house, but everything from like lighting upgrades, new improvements, painting, refreshment of things around campus, some beautification also are all projects that we're working with Raina and her team on. So pretty significant amount of that is coming right here to the, you know, campus of Memorial University. And as I referenced, we do have 25 active capital projects that we are very, very carefully monitoring as well. So.
And that great point. And again, there's been a lot of collaboration to identify those and figure out sort of sequencing, scheduling. And yeah, there will be some meaningful improvements that Canada Games is contributing toward. And also certainly aside from the co-op opportunities, the academic legacy, as we've discussed, and the access to renewed or new facilities, there's also some revenue generation opportunities here that we're working with our undergraduate students union. Breezeway will be used during the games. So that's a revenue generating opportunity for them. Bidders is also going to be used during the games is the plan, revenue generation opportunity, and I just spoke about merchandise. So there's a few revenue opportunities here as well as athletics that we're really excited about. So.
All right, I have another couple questions online. So this could be for both Karen and Jordan. There will be a lot of procurement needs for the games. Has there been any thought given to maximizing impact, social and economic, for the local community?
Yes, we have a lot of procurement to do for the 2025 Canada Games. Within our own policy, we have policies and statements within there around social procurement as well. So we are looking at various opportunities, how we can procure locally, how we can procure from an Indigenous perspective as well. So a lot of great initiatives. We are looking, as you can appreciate, with all the different functional areas from transportation to food sourcing to all the sporting equipment that we have. We are looking, things have to meet certain standards. So certain things really depend on how we can procure. But yes, we are looking at social procurement within our policies.
I think this one actually might still be Karen. Another question I have there, is there any money or funding earmarked for theatrical performances?
Oh, there's lots of money. I should be careful about saying. No, there is the cultural arts, cultural music element of the Canada Games is so significant. Like I said, the sport is really the catalyst that brings the games, but the cultural, the opening, closing ceremonies are all really fueled by music, arts, entertainment, highlighting our culture, but also our festival program. So we will have a festival program that will go across the 18 days of the games. Pretty significant. We're in the planning stages now, very exciting. And to highlight our local community, our province, Newfoundland and Labrador, our country, to also highlight artists across our country as we bring our, Canada to here to our province. So it's a really, really key component, and we're working really closely with the various sectors within the community to plan and develop this. Think tanks, it's amazing. We are an extremely creative province, and I think it'll be an amazing experience for our community to be involved in our festival and opening, closing ceremonies, as well as the rest of the country, the spectators coming. So great program in the works, and lots of planning on that underway.
I think we're good online. Are we all? Okay.
Not seeing anything else online at the moment.
Last call in the room. All right. Well, thank you. I just want to say to close, thank you all so much again for attending here, whether it's in person, online, and to everyone that we've worked with in the months leading up to this. There will be many months more of planning and work, but this has really been a great opportunity to start getting Canada Games on the radar here at the university. You can check out our website for planning updates. We will have some homework for groups coming up that will be in the next few months. And again, I'd just like to thank Karen Sheriffs and the Canada Games Host Society for coming out, Cameron and Claire again for sharing with us, Sam the Seahawk, who's been sitting there in suit for a long time. And again, just thank you so much to our whole campus community for really embracing the games, being engaged in this planning. And stay tuned for more updates. And thank you, Brenda, Sandy, and Allison as well for your support, and to CITL for their support today. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And if anyone wants pictures with Sammy, I'm going to say Sammy's going to come up front. So if anyone wants a photo, certainly come up.